All right, so we're going to go ahead and make this desktop version, the content here, work for this area over here. And I have a hunch that we're not really going to have to change much of anything outside of just the white space and also our little hover-based overlay components over here. So what we'll do is, the first thing is we want to get this background, overall background established. So I think it's going to be this one. Let me make sure I get there. Oh, it's this one right here. Okay, so now we can select this artboard and just paste that in, and we can center this right around there. All right, and just so we don't, well, you know what? Now come to think of it, we probably should also select the individual overlays as well when we make this adjustment, because primarily thinking about this, they're all overlaid perfectly on top of each other, so that might make things a little bit difficult. So instead of doing that, I'm going to delete that. We're going to take both of these, all four of these layers right here. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but it's these four that we want. So now I'm going to paste those, and we could probably stand to scale this down and get it centered up. Now we may have to make some adjustments based on the design, but we'll see what happens here once we get the add copy on top of it. So let's send this to back for now, and let's also group these up. We'll just call this background for now. Okay, so now we're going to take these two type elements, and we're going to just drag them over. You can see we have it centered up. And one of the things that you want to think about is font size and font scaling. You don't always have to use the same exact font size, even though in this context it works, but it does seem a little bit large, just giving the smaller width that we have to deal with. So we could take that down a notch in terms of size. So if we break this here and we take a look at, for instance, maybe changing into an H2, that could certainly work. For me, I might want to make it a little bit larger, although we could come down here. I think we want to go a size in between. So let's go ahead and push things up a notch. And I'm going to hold Alt just like that. We want to keep the modern world at the bottom. And I think probably right around 58 is a solid size for that. And then we can probably keep this the same size because there's still pretty good white space, or not white space, but visual hierarchy between the two elements. All right. Now we're going to take these elements and get them all situated as well. So we're on the left column here. That looks good. Get this one centered up. There we go. And then finally this one as well. Right there. Now it looks like this one is down a little bit further. Well, let's make sure that's not the case. Hit Shift R, bring down. Okay, no, it's all in line. It was just I wasn't seeing things clearly. Okay, so there's our three columns. We could probably also stand to take each one of these and move them up. All right, and let's go ahead and click play just to see how those overlays are working. And we are not currently in the right, so what we'll do is under prototype, there we go. And look at that, it actually works quite well. All right, great, great, great. So now what we'll do is we're going to go back. We do have a couple other things. We'll keep these as well. Actually, we'll just take one of them. There we go. Alt and hold Shift and drag over and get that centered up where it needs to be. There we go. And then Alt, Shift, drag over and get that position where it needs to be as well. Now we're going to double click into this background. Now we can see clearly if we go back to design, change this to variant 2, that should be named hover. We'll move this over where that needs to be, And then same thing with this one. We switch back to default. We'll change this button to hover, and that looks like it's exactly where it needs to be. All right, great. So now finally, we can see what it looks like. Great. All right, so now in the next lesson, we're gonna go ahead and focus on, actually, before we do that, let's get this out of the way too, because it's very simple. It's gonna stay exactly the same because we have a lot of room here to deal with. So we'll just put that roughly right around here. If we group these both up, make sure they're centered, there we go. All right, so now in the next lesson, we'll go ahead and knock out a few of these sections and keep on rolling.